Hey, it's Tyler from Midnight Sound, and if you are anything like me, you want to start learning how to mix. I did learn how to mix. I've been mixing for about 10 years now. In fact, I've been doing sound since I was about 15 years old. That's when I really started learning the science behind it. And if you're trying to learn how to mix, unfortunately, you need to learn a little bit of the science behind it, and it kind of sucks. But it's something that I struggled with, and I'm going to break it down in the most simplest way that I can think to break it down, because before you start reaching for different EQs, equalizers, you need to sort of understand what's going on here. And so, if you get some value from this, please like, please subscribe. We're building this channel from scratch. My recording studio is called Midnight Sound Studios. I'll leave a link below. We're one of the larger studios in Alaska. We have a ton of clients, a ton of talented people come here, and we work with musicians all over the world. I myself am a country artist, and today I'm going to be plugging myself, and we're going to be using one of my own songs to do some teaching with you guys. I'll let it play for just a second to give you guys an idea of what it is. This was produced mainly, some of it was in Nashville, I produced it from here in Alaska, but I had remote musicians, really, really well-known session players from all over the world actually play all the instruments on this for me. Made a demo, sent it to them. And so I'm plugging this song a little bit today. It's kind of like my own form of advertising, but I am going to teach you guys some really simple ways to start understanding what is going on here. Let me play this song for you just so that you can get a feel for what the level of production is that I'm capable of. And I mixed this myself too. The only thing I didn't do is master it. I sent that out for that. So anyways, let's give it a quick listen. I'm just going to play it through the course.
It worked out, but then the sand between my toes wouldn't be here right now. Cooling off my tan feet, and not a cloud in the sky, just miles of beach. Went one way to the East Coast. Ever since that day you ravished my soul, I got rich quick off some crypto and built this bar in the sand, and I call it home. Yeah, I got a new life for the meantime. Got a new girl and a spot by the seaside. Yeah, it's all so fast and I'm holding nothing back. Whatever I can do to be rid of my past, I'm on the rebound. I might regret it later, but I'm fine right now. It's just a little rebound. Ain't nothing that some time can't sort out.
All right, so that is my song called Rebound. If you like that, I'll leave a link for that below as well. I'm a country artist, like I said, and I love what I do. And I've been doing this for years, and I just decided I wanted to start sharing some knowledge, and so we created an academy as well. But here's what we're gonna do: we are going to teach you, whether you know a lot or you know a little. Feel free to watch this video. But this is really geared towards the people that want to learn frequencies from scratch and are having trouble understanding it, and that's what I'm going to try and help you with, because I had to learn this all on my own, and I started young, but I learned the science early, and it really helped. So here we go. Equalizer. Before you can start mixing music, equalization is, there's a couple different tools. There's equalization, there's compression, there's distortion, there's harmonic stuff, like harmonic distortion. There's, there's all kinds of reverbs, delays. There's all kinds of different effects we use as mixing engineers. But the thing that really shapes the sonics and shapes the sound of the song is equalization. After a band or a rap artist, after they make the beat and record the vocals, it's not like they just put that out. Some engineer goes through and goes in and sculpts a sound for each instrument, not just for the vocals. They go in and sculpt with EQ on the kick drum, the snare, the hi-hat, even for hip-hop. The stuff you're hearing on the radio, they're not using MP3s or waves and recording vocals and putting it out. Some engineer is going through all the stems, all the individual instruments, and EQing and compressing them individually. And it's all about what they need, not about right or wrong. But before you can start doing any of that, vocals is one of the first things you're going to learn. But I'm going to just use this track to give you guys some examples, because I don't want you to focus just on vocals, but I am going to explain where I would EQ for vocals, where I might EQ for drums, what I would do for bass, blah, blah, blah. Like you wouldn't do the same thing for bass that you would do for vocals, right? You don't want to add bass into vocals unless you're trying to do that thing. But anyways, here we go. What we're going to do, excuse me, what we're going to do is I'm going to explain to you guys kind of these different types of EQs here. Now, I have a real SSL EQ down on my rack below me, but we're not using the real analog one today. We're using the plugin version. I also have an API down on my rack. I actually have two of these. I have two SSLs, two APIs. I mix hybrid, so I use plugins and I use analog. And so I run stuff through and commit it back in. But I'm using these EQs because I have used these for years, and I also have the analog versions of them. And I know that these are incredible plugins. And these are some of the first plugins you should be looking at getting if you're trying to get the most professional EQ sound. API is incredible on drums. SSL is too, but I usually go for API on like kicks, snares, toms. Sometimes for toms I'll go SSL, overheads I'll go SSL. But anyways, and then there's these types of EQs, which are just straight digital EQs. Obviously, this is all digital because we're working on a computer. This is all digital. But when I say this is a digital EQ and these are analog modeled EQs, it's because, and then again, this is why I say this is for beginners. The API EQ that you're going to see right here, that actually comes from here. That's the EQ that's right up here inside of this console. And then if I flip over here, you'll see the SSL console. And the EQ section, these are the EQs that I have in my rack here. The EQ section of an SSL, that's what you're going to see right here. And for the last 40 years, these EQs, everything you've ever heard on the radio, this is what they're using, okay? This didn't come in until later, and this is a great tool, but this is not what you want to be using for mixing, all right? You need to learn your frequencies, and to learn your frequencies, you can use an EQ like this, a digital EQ, a digital multiband EQ. This is the Pro Q3 from FabFilter. But for actually mixing something that you want to sound radio quality, you want to start yourself with an SSL. You can pop this on every single channel of a mix, and I mean, like, that is basically emulating what the pros do. They send every single channel of their mix through this board. That's why there's a copy of each channel. It's just the same thing 80 freaking times, right? And so what you want to do is you want to learn how to use EQ first, and then you want to understand why you would go for this EQ over this EQ, or why you would want to use this EQ. And when you could start understanding these things, you're going to start doing incredible mixes, all right? This is how I started. So here we go. First things first, I'm just going to kind of talk to you about frequencies, all right? A frequency, I don't want to get into the science behind a frequency too much. You probably should learn what sound waves actually are and how all this works, but we're just going to get right to the teaching here, okay? The human ear cannot hear below 20 hertz, okay? You see where this dot is? That's 20 hertz. If I were to play a sound and then boost this frequency down here, you really wouldn't even be able to hear that at all. Where a kick drum hits you, like in a rock song or a hip hop song where you can really feel the 808, that's usually between 50, right here where this dot is, and 60. Like where you can feel the thump of a subwoofer in your chest. That's these frequencies here, okay? So we're going to start listening to some of this. Where you can feel a vocal is present and up front is going to be down here around 8K. If you wanted air in a vocal, that's going to be closer to 15 to 20K, right? So there's all kinds of moves you can do. If I have a vocal sitting here and I want to change the way that vocal sounds, I can start boosting these, and this will completely change the way. So here I'm just going to show you what this sounds like. Let me put this back to the default. We're going to go ahead and start making some changes, and I'm going to go to this kick drum area. So let's pull up a spot where the kick drum's really banging.
Time, got a new girl in a spot by the sea. My past, I'm on the rebound.
There we go.
I might regret it later.
We're going to go to 60, all right? And you don't have to be using the FabFilter Pro Q3. By the way, you can use any EQ that you want to use. Every DAW comes with a free version of this. This is a paid version, but it doesn't matter what you have.
I might regret it.
Okay, 60. If I start boosting 60, we're going to start hearing more bass and more kick drum.
I might regret it later, but I'm fine right now. It's just a little rebound.
Okay, you hear that. You got the point. Moving on, we're going to just make this really tight. This is called a tight EQ curve, and this is called a wide EQ curve. That's called the Q is either tight or wide, okay? So we're gonna boost this up.
I might regret it later, but I'm fine right now. It's just a little.
Now we're gonna take the frequency, which is at 50, right where the kick drum is. We're gonna ride this up all the way to where you're actually gonna start hearing the bass.
I might regret it later, but I'm fine right now. It's just a little rebound. Ain't nothing that some time can't sort out.
I'm boosting it like crazy, so that you can really hear what it's doing.
I might regret it later, but I'm fine right now.
So between 80 and 100 hertz is where you can really hear and feel the bass. Well, where you can hear the bass is a little more up here. Where you can feel the bass is here. Where you can feel the kick drum is here. Why you need to know this stuff, and it's different for each song, and that's why you need to know this stuff. But why you really need to know this stuff is because when we're mixing, we're actually going to be taking bass frequencies out of the kick drum, and we're going to be taking kick drum frequencies out of the bass. And there's multiple different ways to do it. You can EQ it, you can sidechain it. I do it both ways. And you really need to kind of know like where to make these moves. You really need to understand what frequency is and what it does. It's just allowing us to shape the sound. It's like painting a picture. We're coloring the sound, okay? Now, this range, one of the things you should always know, especially in the live world, the 250 to 300 range, you're almost always going to be removing frequency. I'm going to show you why. I'm going to boost it. Let's see how it sounds right at about 250.
I might regret it later, but I'm fine.
You can hear why you want to take that frequency out. That's disgusting. So we're going to bring that down.
I might regret it later, but I'm fine right now. It's just a.
And it causes the song to get cleaner. It cleans up the bass a little bit.
I might regret it later,
I bypassed it.
but I'm fine right
Back on.
now. It's just a little.
Obviously, I wouldn't do that to a song, but I am doing that in multiple instruments. Like, there's all kinds of EQ moves. If you like the song and you guys want to hear this thing mixed, you want to see how I mixed this track, it's got a lot of tracks, I'll tell you. If you want to see that, let me know, and maybe I'll make that happen.
I might regret it later, but.
All right, yeah. So those are some nasty frequencies. We're going to dip those a little bit. I'm going to shape this track.
I might regret it later, but I'm fine right.
All right, we're going to go to our mid-range.
I might regret it later.
This is all mid-range. Anything, really anything between 500,
I might regret.
maybe 800 to like 5K, 5 kilohertz. That's mid-range.
I might regret it.
Anything above 5K is trouble, in my opinion.
I might regret it later, but I'm.
This is where your pianos are going to be living, your guitars are going to be living, your vocals are going to be living, and you have to strategically learn how to add certain frequencies in certain instruments and take away other frequencies in other instruments to make room for everything in the mix. That's what we're doing.
I might regret it later, but I'm fine right now.
Oh, that's nasty. I'm going to get rid of that too.
I might regret it later, but I'm fine right now.
I'm going to boost this a little bit. So we dipped, and I'm just using my ears here. It sounded kind of gross. So we dipped 1300 hertz, and we're adding So yeah, 1.3K, 2K.
I might regret it later.
Here's the air.
I might regret it later, but I'm fine right now.
Right, so we could do all kinds of things. We could shape this however, like there's no right or wrong way. These are all things I would not actually do to a mix, really. I would do these things to individual instruments maybe. But where these other EQs come in, and this is what you need to start doing. You need to start learning what all these frequencies are doing. But let's just listen to this real fast.
I might regret it later, but I'm fine right now. It's just a little rebound.
So it sounds more bassy and brighter with this. Like I said, this isn't exactly what I would do to this mix to polish it up. But what we've just done here, you can hear a clear difference.
I might regret it later, but I'm fine right now.
I am going to make these same EQ changes now with the SSL. We're going to copy that over to this. Once you can learn where everything is and you start learning where your frequencies are, you should be using an EQ like this to remove frequencies. But you should really be using an EQ like this to add frequencies, because this EQ sounds completely different than this. If I do the same thing that I just did right here, and I copy all this over and do those EQ moves here, it's going to be a whole different vibe. And that's exactly what we're going to do. I have black and brown knobs, but I'm going to just stick with the black for now. I like the black. So anyways, there's a different sound to these black knobs. As you can see, there's brown knob, black knob. These are older. And I think, actually, no, I think brown knob's the older design. Black knob is the newer design. And I like the sound of the black knob better. Okay, so we're going to pop this thing on. And I'm going to copy what I just did here. So we're adding 6 dB. You can see that 6 dB is how much we've gone up at 57 hertz with a pretty wide Q. Okay, so 6.8 dB at 57. So we're going to take our bass, which is our low frequency, right? Low frequency. We're going to turn that into a bell curve, right? And I will just show you real quick what a bell does. This is a bell. If I change it to shelf, that's what you see. It affects everything below it. But I don't want to affect everything below it. I really just want to affect 50 hertz. So there you go. We're still affecting other areas. If we really just wanted to affect 50, we would tighten the Q. And there you go. Now we're really just affecting 50. We're going to widen the Q so that we're actually boosting more than that. But I don't want to boost all this shit down here. Excuse my French. Remember, the human ear can't hear anything below 20. So why would you even have anything going? That, even though the human ear cannot hear that, you need to be taking this out of all your instruments. This is called high passing. And you need to do this because even though your ear can't hear it, all of these compressors and EQs and instruments that you're putting together, it's still got information down there, and that all adds up, and it smushes your mix, even though you can't hear it. It affects the way the compression works. It affects the way the EQ works in a negative way, and things get too boxy and boomy. So we're going to do a high pass, and on an SSL, to do a high pass, you come down here, and you go like this. And I was high passing to 20. See? 20. We're high passing right here to 20. And that's about the same thing. Now we're boosting almost 7 dB at 57. We're going to copy that over. So we're boosting 57 is going to be somewhere around here. It's in a bell, remember, not a shelf. So we keep it on bell. That's about 57, and we boost. So let's listen. There it is, EQ in. You gotta hit the EQ in button.
And you guessed it, I just can't sleep. I've been watching this damn fan spin all week. It's been messing up my heart.
Yeah, so you can't really even see like where if I'm adding 6 dB or 7 dB or 8 dB, there's no like, it goes up to 15 dB. Whereas this, goes up to like infinity. I can add freaking 30 dB. I could probably add more. No, does it go anymore? No. So 30 dB is the most I can add, whereas on an SSL, the most I can add is 15. So 6 is going to be somewhere right around here. 7? Yeah. All right, now let's copy this puppy over. We're doing a dip at 267 with a little bit of a narrower Q. I can't control the Q on the low frequency on an SSL. We're going to do a little narrow, see narrow or wide. And we're going to go right around to 260, which is going to be somewhere in here. Let me boost it so we can hear. And you guessed it, I just can't sleep. I've been watching this damn van spin all week. Yeah, we're going to take that out. And now, and I promise you, at the end of this, you are going to understand why you would want to use an SSL to make a vocal sound good or make a bass sound good versus this. This is not what you want to be using. You want to be using an SSL or some other type of EQ. It doesn't have to be an SSL, but I'm telling you, 80% of the stuff you're hearing on the radio, this is still what they're using. Especially for hip hop. All right, we're going to keep copying. Next, we're doing a dip at 13. I'm not going to do that with the SSL. We're going to skip this one because when you're making a record, when you're doing a dip and you're taking frequencies out, you're going to do that with an EQ like this. You want to save the SSL for when you want to boost because it sounds better to boost this than it sounds to boost this. This is like being at a doctor's office right here. This is like being at a rave with a bunch of freaking weed. Okay? Yeah, it's got character. It's got aggression. It's got distortion. It lets me make more moves without sounding as brittle and as harsh. What are we boosting over here? Okay. 2.9K. So we're gonna come over to like right under 3K. 2.9K, right? Listen to the boost. We're gonna widen that out. And you guessed it, I just can't sleep. I've been watching this. How much are we boosting it? We're boosting it by 3 dB, so really not much. I'm gonna pull this down a little. Oh no, actually that's good. All right, now what are we doing with the top here? We're adding a little bit of, let's do some 12. This is 11K, but we'll do some 12K. Just a few dB, 12K. And remember, it's not a bell, it's a shelf. See? It's a shelf. Listen to how far I can push this. All right. Now I'm going to turn this off, and we're going to compare. We basically just did the same thing here that we have going on here, okay? And you got to understand what these tools are doing and when to use one versus the other. So let's go ahead and listen to what this sounds like with the SSL turned off, and then vice versa. And you guessed it, I just can't sleep. I've been watching this damn van spin all week. It's been messing up my heartbeat. And I'm wondering if you're really already over me. I heard you got some new guy, and now he's the only thing that gets you that high. This just has a little more weight. It's a little less bright. It's a little less crispy, but I could push it more. Right? I can make it as crispy as I want. But this tool, to my ears, sounds better than this. It just does. This is a little more clinical and ear piercing, and this just gets me a little higher. It feels better, especially coming out of my speakers. I'm in headphones right now, but when you're mixing on really good monitors, which we have here at Midnight Sound, you can really feel what this is doing, not just hear what this is doing. So save this sort of clinical type of EQ, okay? Now, we're going to do the same thing with the API. The API is a whole different thing. I have a couple of them. I have API preamps. I have API 550As. Hardware versions, and I like the 550A over the 550B. I'll say that. Getting a little off topic here. It's got a little more mojo to it, from what I understand. I really think it does. Anyways, we're gonna go ahead and pop this in, and I'm gonna not try to copy what I'm doing over here. I'm just going to make my own sound with the 550A. It's doing something different. It's more mid-forward, meaning there's lots of this frequency going on in a 550A. There's still bass. There's still crispy top, but a lot of mid-range. API is the king of mid-range. So that's why you'd want to use it for drums, to make them punch through a mix. And guitars, I send a lot of these electric guitars you're hearing, I sent them through these API and 550As that I have down here, and that's what's getting them to sound so aggressive.
Meantime, got a new girl at a spot by the seaside. Yeah, it's all so fast, and I'm holding.
That's 5K.
Meantime, got a new girl at a spot by the seaside.
10.
Meantime,
12.5. That's air.
Meantime, got a new girl.
I like that.
Meantime, got a new girl at a spot by the seaside.
Oh, you can hear it. Let's add some bass into this at 100.
Meantime, got a new.
Let's flip to 60, or sorry, 50.
Meantime, got a new girl.
See, I don't have as many options on the API, which is actually why I like it. I can go anywhere I want with this EQ and move these all over the place, whereas the API says, no, you have a few options, and that's what you get.
Meantime, got a new girl at a spot by the seaside.
I like 50.
Meantime, got a new. Meantime,
I'm going to put a filter on to make it a shelf
meantime, got.
so that I'm boosting everything under 100. So I'm actually at 100 right now, but I'm also boosting 50.
Meantime, got a new girl at a spot by the seaside. Yeah, it's all so fast, and I'm holding nothing back. Whatever I can do to be rid of my past, I'm on.
That sounds pretty good. That's just EQ. Let's listen to this SSL.
Meantime, got a new girl at a spot.
Totally different vibe.
Meantime, got a new girl at a spot by the seaside. Yeah, it's all so fast, and I'm holding nothing back. Whatever I can do to be rid of my past.
Totally different vibe. Okay? Let's put this back to factory default, and I'm just going to use my ears to... I'm not going to try and copy what I did with this EQ anymore. I was just doing that to explain to you guys how this really works. But forget about that. Let's put this back to default, and let me just mess with the knobs until it sounds good.
Meantime, got a new girl at a spot by the seaside. Yeah, it's all so fast, and I'm holding nothing back. Whatever I can do to be rid.
I'm going to use a bell on this one. I like that better.
Meantime, got a new girl at a spot by the seaside. Yeah, it's
Wide.
me.
I'm adding 2K wide. I'm just using my ears. That sounds good to me. It sounds a little too crispy up here and a little dark up here.
Meantime,
Down there.
meantime, got a new girl at a spot
Black.
by the seaside. Meantime, got a new.
We're adding some 5K.
Meantime, got a.
And let's add some air.
Meantime, got a new girl at a spot by the seaside.
At a shelf.
Meantime, got a new girl.
The SSL also has a compressor.
Meantime,
I'll leave that off for right now. We're just talking about EQ today.
meantime, got a.
All right, let's compare the SSL now with the API.
Meantime, got a new girl at a spot by the seaside. Yeah, it's all so fast, and I'm holding nothing back. Whatever I can do to be rid of my past, I'm on the rebound. I might regret it later, but I'm fine right now. It's just a little rebound. Ain't nothing.
They both sound great, but they're both entirely different. And I wouldn't use the API for all the same things that I would use the SSL. I would send bass through the SSL, synth through the SSL, pianos usually through an SSL, some guitars through an SSL, but acoustic guitars and electric guitars, a lot of time I lean towards API. Kick drum, snare, API. Bass, I think I already said SSL. Yeah, learn your tools. And I just wanted this to be a video that if you just get any DAW and open up the basic EQ that they have, this is what you're going to be looking at, is something like this, some sort of multi-band equalizer. You just need to know what all of it does. And like, the only way to do that is to listen to what it does, and that's what this video is supposed to do for beginners, because that is, again, when I started learning how to mix 15 years ago. I'm 30 now. I was 15 then. This is all the stuff I struggled with, and this is really what you have to learn first. And it might take you some time, but you will get to a point where you can really start knocking out mixes really quick, and it just becomes a second nature. But you got to practice. Play this video over and over again if you need to. If you wanted to see this thing mixed and see how I mixed the song, let me know. And if you would like to join the Midnight Academy and get on the waiting list, it doesn't cost anything to get on the waiting list, and that link will be below. Thank you guys for watching. If you have any questions, I reply to all comments and questions. And yeah, my name's Tyler. This is from Midnight Sound Studios in Anchorage, Alaska, and I really appreciate you guys watching, and I really hope that you learned something from this. Take care. I'm signing off.